Hey boss, I got a situation. Yeah, sure, what's up? Customer swears they never got this pallet of laptops. I talked to the warehouse, said they sent it out, and carrier says it was delivered. You check to see if the customer signed for it? Yep, already did that. Carrier didn't even get a signature, just a picture of it outside of a warehouse. Customer says not even one of their locations. So the carrier messed up. Yep, but they won't talk to me because I'm not on the freight team. Did you submit a ticket? Yep, but they said it could be 2 weeks before they get back to me, and the customer is pissed. They want a replacement. Alright, just send them a new order on terms, and then we'll get them credited back for this one once we get it figured out. Yep, I already floated that idea, but when I went to make the order, the unit they had is out of stock, and the closest one I could find is like $700 more. Just reach out to the manufacturer and see if they can help us out and let me know. Yep, already talked to the manufacturer. The $700 is after we got the funding. Okay. You want me to hop on a call with the customer? Sounds like they might just have to wait or pay more. Nope, already had that conversation. Problem is, the customer doesn't see a difference between us and the carrier. They keep telling me that they didn't have a problem with other vendors. Well, not always a fun conversation. Sorry. Yep. But remember, we have the $3.5 million project on this summer, and after the finger incident, they might pull it from us. Okay. How much more is it? All in all, it's like 25 grand more. I think I can get them to see the value of the higher-end laptop. We can get down like 15K. I can't approve that much. We need a VP. Yep. I already have the email written with UCC. Just wanted to give you a heads up, though, before I sent it so you weren't blindsided. So, nothing needed? Nope. Just needed your name on the email. Why are these millennials so hard to manage? Every problem they have is so complicated. Are you kidding me right now? I can't even believe you'd say that. What? It's really irresponsible of you to disagree with me in front of the nieces and nephews who look up to the adults in the family. No. That's not how that works. It confuses people. You may not like it, but telling people they can't disagree with you is a huge red flag. Here it comes, you and your brainwashed emotional intelligence shit. Linda, you told my kids there are only 2 genders. Because there are. I only pointed out, even if you're talking about biology, that's just not true. Yep, that's what you do. You don't have any room for people to disagree with you anymore. I never said that. I love debating people, as long as it stays civil. But when I debate with you, you act like a victim. No, Linda, you could address what I said directly, but instead you said it's not okay for us to disagree because the kids were watching. Exactly. So why would I sit here and let you say things that I know for a fact are wrong and bigoted? There it is. You disagree and suddenly you're a bigot. I'm not trying to call you a bigot. I'm saying that is a bigoted talking point. You've really changed. If your parents were still alive, they'd be Linda, I'm not okay with you bullying me, especially when my children might be in earshot. I think it's time for you to leave. That's not even bullying. That word just gets tossed around now. Doesn't even mean what it used to mean. When a disagreement turns into you trying to intimidate or coerce me, that's the definition of bullying. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I grab a baseball bat and act like I was going to go all Kathy Bates on your kneecaps? No, but you're clearly trying to make this conversation too painful for me to have. Never touched you. You tried to make me feel like I was hurting people by disagreeing with you. You tried to make me feel dumb by saying I was brainwashed. And then you told me my parents, who both died last year, would be disappointed in me for standing up for what I believe in. Okay, so why is it that you get to be upset with me for not fighting fair, and then you get to attack my character? When did I attack your character? You just called me a bully. I apologize if I called you a bully. I meant to say that you are engaging in bullying behavior. Very different. You're just a hypocrite. You started this whole thing and now you're intimidating me, Linda. I disagreed with what you said by directly addressing it. Using the children. You have yet to address what I said directly. You're attacking me personally, and when I call out your unacceptable behavior, you are now telling me, who's calling you out, that I'm attacking you. Maybe I was just calling you out. How you and your woke friends can't handle anyone disagreeing with you anymore. You got so mad at me for disagreeing with you because it confuses people. I am so sad for your kids. Okay, Linda, I should not have let this go on this long, but if you're going to bully me in my own house in front of my children, you're no longer welcome in our home. What are you doing? I'm not engaging. It's Thanksgiving. Come on, let's go. You used to be such a good host. I can't control your behavior, Linda, but I'm hoping a break will be good for us. Either way, we're not teaching our children it's okay to behave like this. Why does everyone keep pushing these stupid boundaries on me all of a sudden? That's really unprofessional. Oh, I'm sorry. What is cursing? Oh, do you mean just now when I dropped my pen? And said GD. God damn it. Hear no evil, see no evil. What's unprofessional about that? You don't use language like that in the workplace. Curse words? Oh my stars, yes. Why? What is this? A Benny Hill skit? When we were kids, we just understood that that language was used by degenerates. I guess I just never understood why it's offensive. Could you explain it to me? Don't you understand what bad words are? Sure, I used to get my mouth washed out with soap for saying crap, so I'm familiar with the concept, but no one's ever really explained to me why it's offensive. Your IQ drops 20 points every time you curse. Maybe you don't understand that. That's not a thing. And now you're breaking me down. If I was cursing at you, attacking you, that would be hurtful and understandably offensive. Just please, Don't curse. Wait, didn't you refer to a nut last week as a racial slur? That's what they're called. Oh, hold on. That's my son. Hi, sweet baby. Not again. You and your brothers mess up everything you touch.
And why does this generation of kids just turn their back on their parents? Like, I would never treat my parents the way some of the things have been said to me. Just so much entitlement these days.
The number one way to push your kid even further away is to be dismissive. You should be listening instead of pointing fingers. Now, from my perspective as a millennial, from a really high level, this is what it boils down to. Why so much of our generation and those coming after us are distancing ourselves from older generations, including some of our parents. And it has to do with mental health and how we have put a much bigger importance on it, trying to understand it, trying to work on ourselves. And it is often being dismissed by older generations. Here's what a lot of it looks like. There are some pretty unhealthy parenting practices in the 80s and 90s and 2000s and probably before. And I'm under no delusions that we are going to get it perfect. Of course, our kids are going to have problems with the way that we parented them as well. But the fact remains that many of us experience trauma from our childhood. Things like being spanked or being parented with guilt or fear or lies instead of having difficult conversations. And that's something that we're trying to work through, which again is dismissed by older generations. Us being in touch with our emotions, paying attention to our bodies, you dismiss as us being weak. And a lot of the older generation refuses to see us as adults. We're still treated like children, even though many of us are in our 30s, pushing 40. We have mortgages and children. We have decades of experience and careers. And to be completely honest with you, a lot of us have more relevant life experience at this point than the older generations. But you don't want to see that. You still treat us as children. You act like we don't know what we're doing. Which brings me to the third point, and probably the most important. A lot of us are parents. We are trying to heal ourselves so we can be there for our kids. We're trying to parent differently because we see the way that we were parented as kids and we don't care for it. We think there are better ways, and that's what we are trying to do. But again, it's often dismissed by older generations. We get a lot of criticism. So you have an older generation that caused trauma, which has created a dynamic between the two of us that makes us feel uncomfortable around you. You dismiss our attempts to try and heal, and you make us feel like we're weak because we're trying to heal. And then you're getting in between us trying to provide a better life for our children. And I'm sorry, but if you're going to get in between us and our children, 10 times out of 10, we are going to choose our children. And all of that said, I can only try to imagine how painful it would be if when my children became adults, they chose to distance themselves from me further than what is completely normal for someone going out into the world on their own for the first time. It is not something that we take lightly. So when you dismiss it, try and think how serious it must be for us to make the decision to start distancing ourselves from the very people that brought us into this world. I mean, you should have talked to me before you took the job. I'm 33, Dad. I just don't want him taking advantage of you. I'll let you know if anything seems fishy. You did this with the house, too. Did what? You didn't talk to me after the inspection. The inspection went fine. You had to replace the roof, which they told us about during the inspection. We probably could have taken them down like another 20 grand. Okay. You don't come to me for advice anymore. And now Carrie's telling me that you're making books for a company? Illustrating with an author. Well, make sure they're paying you enough for your illustrations. Yeah, I mean, I got pretty good royalties, but it depends on the sales. You know, Elvis really regretted some of his early contracts. Not really the same thing as making music 65 years ago, Dad. They should be paying you more. Right, okay. How much do you think they should be paying me? I mean, your time is valuable. Yep. I don't think this project's worth your time. So, no ideas on what they should be paying me. I don't know. I've never done this kind of work. Every generation is getting weaker and whinier. We're standing up. Hold on. Standing up? You're always upset about some little thing. Hey. Not little. You just got complacent. Can I interject? Attacking boomers. How creative. Why is it when we defend ourselves, you act like a victim? Hey. Because we were taught to respect our elders. There it is. If you want to talk about who's weak, let's talk about respecting Hello. We didn't turn our back on history and tradition and culture just to fit in. Why are people talking about preserving culture? Enough with the virtue signaling. Okay. Let's take a step back. What? In conflict management training, we learned that it's helpful if we try to understand each other's perspectives.
Oh, great. Touchy-feely therapy.
Well, hold on. Let's start with you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't understand why we fight the battles we fight, or why we fight with our elders.
Correct.
So it looks to you like we don't care about older generations.
Yep.
And that leads you to believe that we can't handle small inconveniences. We're just whining about everything. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay. So, our perspective. And you don't have to agree with what we believe. I'm just trying to get you to understand the why.
Fine.
You raised us with very similar values. Turning our back on God or our upbringing are about the most disappointing things that we could do to our parents, whose needs were put above ours.
And yet, those things mean nothing to you now.
Stop. That's your perspective. Go ahead. The big difference, though, is we were raised with access to way more information and ideas and cultures.
This more woke bullshit?
Can you see how having access to all that information could lead us to our own beliefs that come in conflict with the way we were raised?
Yes.
Thank you.
So educated. Jesus.
So, we have our very strong internalized beliefs from childhood, and then we have our beliefs that we have learned in adulthood. And these things come in conflict, which is not something that we take lightly.
How can you learn that you don't care about your parents' feelings?
No, like, did you ever tell your parents that a 5-hour car ride was too much for a 6-month-old, so they needed to come see you?
We drove 2 hours every Sunday to see my mom.
And we've considered similar things because we were raised the same way. But we've come to understand that we are responsible for our kids' well-being above anything else. We care very much about our parents' feelings, and those are really hard decisions to juggle.
Are you saying you're strong because you can't handle a crying baby?
No, I'm saying it would have been a lot easier for us to not make waves either. It's not that we can't handle small things. We think very hard, deal with a lot of anxiety, trying to make sure that we are making the right decision, not only for our kids, but for everyone on the planet, because no matter what we look like, we are all humans.
People really think everything they do is some huge achievement when they're raised with participation trophies. Thought we had it.
This whole generation, they're just so sensitive.
Sorry, we don't want to pass this on to our kids.
Everything's a big deal. They're all anxious and depressed and, let me stop you there. They're all on medication.
Okay, hold on.
When we were kids, we were just,
Can I
we were
please?
strong. Not like they are today.
That's what I was trying to avoid.
Listen, I can tell you've had a hard childhood. Yes. And you were made to find ways to deal with it. Very much. And by comparison, you see your child struggles as minuscule. Their lives are so easy. I want to give you an analogy. Let's say you and your son are both runners. I'm at Pilates every day, 6 a.m. What's his excuse? Children? I'm not retired and I do run. It's an analogy. You're both runners. Now, you busted your knee when you were a kid, and you weren't given the time or the resources for it to heal. So it didn't set right, and it still hurts to run, but you found ways to compensate for that. You're not what you used to be, but that's life, right? Exactly. Life comes with injuries. Now, your child develops some intestinal issues, and one day when you're running, they tell you that they're struggling. Sounds about right. Broken knee?
Yes,
Tummy ache. That's your response, because an injured knee affecting your running is much more obvious than intestinal issues. But what you don't see is their digestive issues also cause a lot of abdominal pain and cramping and constipation, and it affects how much they can eat, which affects their energy levels. I've had poop problems. You doctors are just enablers. He's not saying that it's worse than your knee. He's just saying don't dismiss my problems. Exactly. By acknowledging your child's very real struggles, you're not dismissing your own. I never said it did. But if I can run with a broken knee, some stomach pain is nothing. So that brings me to the other part of my analogy. You've done really well for yourself because I'm strong. And medicine's come a long ways, so doctors can help you fix that by making incremental fractures and resetting the bone. But it will take a few years, and you've gotten so used to the pain that you don't think the treatments are worth it. I don't see your point. You've become so used to your own pain that is holding you back that instead of helping your child fix theirs, you'd rather see them struggle. I have kids now. And yes, my life has been very different than yours, but I've had very real pain and hardships and trauma that I don't want to pass down to my children. I didn't pass anything to you. When a protector tells a child to get over it, grow the fuck up, in addition to whatever hardship that child is going through, they're being robbed of a caregiver in that moment. They're being abandoned. How dare you? We put food on the table for all 6 of you, every night. Even now, as an adult, as I'm trying to work through my pain, because I've seen how you've affected me, and I don't want to do that to my children, you're trying to make me feel weak. I don't think I'm weak. I think I'm strong enough to face someone that I care very much about who is trying to make me feel little and broken, because I know that that is the only way to break the cycle. And I owe that to my children because I don't want them to think that I care more about my own insecurities and sadness than their well-being. Your strength is how you had to handle your trauma, but now you're using it as an excuse to neglect your child's needs, which makes the trauma worse for both of you. Entitled. That's it. They're all anxious and depressed and entitled.